And welcome into this edition of ACAP Today for the month of April 2025. I'm Jason Parent with the Aroostook County Action Program. On this week's edition, or this month's edition, I should say, of ACAP Today, we're going to focus on programs that support the entire family here at ACAP and through the agency, but specifically talking about programs for parents this month. We're going to talk with three of our guests who are joining me on the screen right now in just a little bit when I introduce them. But first, we're going to go to the news and information that you can use again for the month of April 2025. And we begin in the news and information that you can use with this. We wanted to share with you that the Aroostook County Action Program, in collaboration with public school districts throughout Aroostook County, led by MSAD number 70 in Hodgdon, are launching a student homeless prevention pilot program. Now, this has been funded by Maine Housing, and it's here to help specifically with school-age children who are finding themselves in unsafe, unstable environments where housing is a primary concern, and the lack of safe and stable housing allowing them not to focus on their primary role, which is getting a good education. So ACAP is providing financial support, some housing stability guidance, team members that can work directly with youth and their families, and helping folks specifically find permanent housing. So you can connect through this program if you or someone you know might benefit from this program, specifically a family with young school-age children. You can work directly through your public school district. There's a person in that school district. It might be a funny name and you're not familiar with them, but if you ask at the main office, they typically will know of someone called a McKinney-Vento liaison, or just ask about the individual who might be working with people in the school district, with students and families in the school districts if housing is an issue. Now, also community partners have been engaged in this. So social service agencies, the local shelters, and landlords might be resources for you to connect with. And then families and students can reach out, of course, directly to us here at ACAP. We certainly appreciate that and certainly can help you in that regard. The eligibility guidelines for this are if you're at risk for eviction, so you might not even be homeless, you might just be housing insecure. If you're looking at potential foreclosure, or if you are obviously in a situation where you're currently experiencing homelessness, or perhaps you're not experiencing homelessness, but you're actually living in somebody else's domain and or residence, and that's obviously not a challenge, or you're living in a shelter, or any other kind of housing that's really not of the quality that you need to be able to effectively raise your children and for them to be able to be focused in schools. So we certainly want to encourage you to reach out to us. You can call us here directly at 768-3721, extension 129 for this program, or reach out via email at help@acap-me.org. And we thank the Aroostook County Public Schools, in particular MSAD 70, for their partnership with ACAP on this program. We'll have more on this program next month when it's our feature topic on ACAP Today, so stay tuned for that again next month. We also wanted to, this time of year, talk about what becomes all too much of a challenge for some of our households out there who have been balancing high heating and electric costs throughout the winter months. What's called the moratorium, or the period of time that our electric utility companies are prohibited from disconnecting households for lack of payment on their electric bills, is about to come to an end. And so there might be families, households out there that are going to be facing the threat of a disconnection by their electric utility. We, through the Public Utilities Commission and the Office of the Public Advocate, have received this information, sort of a step-by-step guide on what you can do to help avoid a disconnect. The first thing we're encouraging folks to do is to contact their local utility. Now, here in Aroostook County, for the most part, that's Versant Power, but if you live in Van Buren, it's Van Buren Light and Power, and if you live in Holton, it's Holton Water Company. So contact your local electric utility and find out the minimum amount required for you to keep the power on. From that, then you really want to look into programs, including calling us here at ACAP, your local community action agency, that include programs called the Low Income Assistance Program, Emergency Home Energy Assistance Program funding, the Energy Crisis Intervention Program, and also TANF, which we can help navigate you to here through ACAP. 211 is also an available resource. There's also a program, and we work collaboratively with the electric utilities on this, called the Arrearage Management Program, which allows you to forgive past debts if you begin to become current on your electric bill. That's an option as well, and it provides some coaching supports for households. We also are encouraging folks, and so is the public advocate, to call your local city or town and inquire about, I should say, general assistance. And if there are children involved, the Maine Office for Family Independence may be able to help the numbers there. And we just talked about the McKinney-Vento program, which we could exactly help with through that program I just spoke about as well. So please do reach out to us in this particular case after you've gotten the appropriate information from your electric utility bill. We also are encouraging folks who are considering buying a home in the near future, and this is your first venture into home ownership, to consider taking one of our upcoming home buyer education classes scheduled for this year for 2025. The home buyer education class is an 8-hour class. They're held typically on weekend days to accommodate for busy work schedules or traditional work schedules during the week. They're held in educational Zoom settings in a non-sales environment, and they provide an opportunity to learn about the home buying process in a neutral environment. They are open to the public, but registration is required, and there is a registration fee. However, there are great benefits to taking the course, including assistance towards down payment and closing costs, and special interest rates that are available to people who take the home buyer education course. If you would like to learn more about this course or to register, call us at 764-3721 or email us at homebuyeredu@acap-me.org. We can tell you all about that program. We are also looking for folks out there who are finding themselves in a position where they have recently lost a number of work hours as there are challenges in the economy right now, or perhaps you're a worker that has been finding yourself in a position where you've been laid off, a dislocated worker as they are known. We do have a program here at ACAP through Workforce Development and our coaching program that offers the ability to support individuals in finding new jobs and continuing their education. Services are offered called including resume building and interview skills, career counseling, job assistance. In addition to that, we are able to provide financial supports for things like education and occupational trainings to help you retool for a new job or new career, including the required materials for that, any textbook, tools, safety equipment. We can support transportation, childcare, and other services. So really, if you're finding yourself in a position where your hours have been reduced significantly or you've lost your job altogether, call us at 764-3721, extension 213, or help@acap-me.org, and we would be happy to work with you to talk about the dislocated worker program here at ACAP. Our early care and education professionals here at ACAP are working in partnership with a number of individuals under the lead of Maine Roads to Quality and the Family Child Care Association of Maine, and in partnership with Northern Maine Community College, the host location for the second Aroostook Early Childhood Conference. The first one was held last early June. This one will be held in early May on Saturday, May 3rd, to allow early care and education professionals who are caring for children during the week to participate. As I said, it will be held in the Northern Maine Community College campus from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we encourage anyone in the early childhood education workforce and others interested in perhaps entering that workforce to consider registering for this. You can check out our website for more information. But again, it's the second Aroostook Early Childhood Conference at Northern Maine Community College coming up on Saturday, May 3rd. We're also gearing up our early care and education team to offer a school-age childcare program, as we've heard of large childcare providers in the region closing, and this being one of the areas where care is often not available for school-age children for after school and school break weeks. The location of this will be at our Gouldville Early Care and Education Center at 44 Park Street in Presque Isle. The hours will run typically Monday through Friday during the school year or when school is in session from 2:30 to 5:30 in the afternoon. And during school breaks, it will run a full day as early as 7 a.m. through 5:30 p.m. This is specifically for children aged 5 to 12. and we're really seeking enrollment numbers now as we work to staff this program up and get it off the ground. If you have questions, our enrollment specialist, Marcy Driscoll, is available to answer those for you. You see her contact information there on your screen. You can also call the agency and ask for Marcy. The Aroostook Workforce Connector is a project led by our partners, Aroostook Regional Transportation System. ACAP is a partner along with the Aroostook Partnership, NMDC, and several employers, including the Canes, Tempo Employment Services, and Huber Engineered Woods. This is for folks specifically living in the central Aroostook area who do not have or are in need of reliable transportation to get to and from employment to secure and maintain employment. It operates daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. There is no cost, and it is a door-to-door service. So it's a one-year pilot program, and we're about halfway through it. So if you are in need of this service, you want to give ARTS a call at 764-5246, and they will work on accommodations with you to help get you to and from work during the open operating hours of this particular program. Again, 764-5246 if you are in need of transportation and live in the central Aroostook area to get to and from work. Our prevention team is reminding you that there are resources out there to help if you are using tobacco products, whether that's smoking, vaping, or other tobacco use. There's phone coaching, web coaching, and individual services available through the Maine Quit Link program. The information is there on your screen, mainequitlink.com, or 1-800-QUIT-NOW is the best way to reach those services. We are also advertising through our early care and education program. We talked about the school age program. This is one of the programs that we're looking for staff in, but we are looking for staff widely across Aroostook County to be able to continue to provide services for children in our ACAP early care and education centers and in our partnership classrooms with some of the public schools across Aroostook County. We're looking for the full gamut: teachers, teacher aides, ed techs 2 and 3, in Caribou, Limestone, Fort Kent, Holton, and Presque Isle. If you're not in one of those communities, still consider applying if you have an interest and the appropriate background for these positions. We'd certainly encourage hearing from you as we continue to do work to partner with more public schools in Aroostook County. There may be positions closer to you coming up in the future. So please do consider applying if you have any interest in engaging in these programs. And lastly, if we have not talked about something, but you are finding yourself in need of assistance in one way or another, we have ACAP navigators who are available to help direct you in the right direction. Sometimes that's an ACAP program, and at other times it is a program outside of our agency that a partner agency or a government entity is offering, and we will help navigate you to those, whether it's an employment concern, housing, applying for benefits, food and wellness, connecting to various resources, or early care and education. Please do consider reaching out to us so we can help you navigate those concerns. We also will be debuting in the coming month a brand new edition of the Pathfinder Resource Guide, which will be very helpful for social service agencies and individuals out there to find available resources in the community. But we will have more on that again in the coming weeks. Be on the lookout for that, as the Pathfinder is a very in-demand publication and has been out of print for a couple of years now, and we're excited to be bringing it back. That's coming again soon in the month of April. And that's the news and information that you can use again for April 2025. I'm so pleased to welcome now to this edition of ACAP Today 3 individuals who are leading some of the efforts here in Aroostook County as it relates to providing services for the entire family, with specificity towards parents in the conversation that we're going to have today. Amy Murchison is a program coordinator for ACAP, and Megan Willett and Tiffany Carmichael are coaches here at the agency who are leading some pretty impressive programs with the agency. And I think I'm going to start with you, Amy, because you have been with the agency, first of all, the longest of the 3 folks joining us on the screen, and work, I think, in the most broad sense with leading all of our family engagement programs here at ACAP. And there are many of them, including just the general approach that we have as it relates to whole family. So why don't you just launch right into what are some of the great ways in which we here at ACAP engage with families?
Sure, Jason. Thanks for having us. And I am very fortunate. I get to touch a lot of the programs um, at the agency and work with both Megan and Tiffany and support the work that they're doing. So glad to be here. I'm going to talk a little bit about our, specifically our Head Start, Early Head Start program. A huge piece of that program is around family engagement. We have opportunities for families to connect every month at each of the centers that we call a parent meeting. And it's not a formal meeting. It's an opportunity for parents to get together that have children enrolled at that center and connect and talk about activities at the center and really build that sense of community at the center. We also have opportunities for parents to participate in our governance here at ACAP. So, our structure of policy council and the board of directors. So, policy council is the board of directors for Head Start or like a school board. And so our policy council representatives are from across our program, our parents and community members that come to each month to a meeting and review lots of different reports about our program, financials, enrollment, attendance, and have the opportunity to see and participate in the work of planning. Are we meeting our goals for our program and school readiness goals for the children? And then from there, we select and elect a couple of board members to the ACAP Board of Directors. So parents and community members that are there from Policy Council then can be part of the board and have a voice for families with young children. So it's a really comprehensive way for families to be engaged in their children's education when they're enrolled in Head Start and Early Head Start.
And really, Amy, that's a part of a much broader perspective of what we work on here called the whole family approach. And I know that you are a certified, train the trainer, if you will, in what we call the family-centered coaching model. Can you talk a little bit about whole family approach and the family-centered coaching model that you and your team engage in?
Sure. So, a whole family approach is really working with the whole family and really talking with the family about who's in their family, who do they think are their family members and identify as their family members, and really talking about what barriers are there for each family member, not just the child or not just that parent, but really looking at it from that whole family approach and how there may be an older sibling in the home that's struggling at school, and what are some barriers there, and what can our coaches do to support that with a family, and so really taking that time to build that relationship with families, to learn about their family, who's in their family, and identifying things that they want to work towards, whether it's uh, working towards a certificate or post-secondary education, high school diploma. Maybe they want their child to be potty trained. You know, they have a young child. That's part of that whole family approach, that there's goals related to the whole family.
So I'm going to sort of take this to you next, Megan, to talk about one of the areas that working with families looks at is to try to help them build some social capital. So parents to connect with other parents and to connect with community members, and to really sort of be able to engage in conversations about being parents. And one of the things that you are doing and leading for the agency is a brand new series of seminars called Positive Parenting. So tell us about what the Positive Parenting program is all about.
Yeah, so like Amy, I'm super happy to be in this group with such dedicated professionals and people who are so committed to supporting our communities, families. So like Jason said, Triple P is an entirely new program. We just introduced it, launched Triple P at the beginning of this calendar year, 2025 in January. And Triple P stands for Positive Parenting Program, and it's an evidence-based program. It's all about giving parents practical strategies to kind of make family life easier and more enjoyable. One thing that I really love most about Triple P is that it's not a one-size-fits-all program. I, as the facilitator, am not there to tell you best practices in parenting or anything like that. It's kind of more like a toolbox filled with different ideas that you can pick from and choose to help suit your family's needs and adapt tools as you see fit. So we offer a variety of different topics in our seminars and discussion groups, and some parents who also prefer a one-on-one chat for personalized advice, we offer primary care triple P, which takes place over several smaller and shorter sessions, which can be much more flexible to meet families' needs.
Let's talk about those sessions for a little bit, because I think that I know that you put a lot of work into these, and I think that the response, from what I've heard, the response has been great. You've had a lot of people coming. I think you had to expand the room the first time. What kind of things happen at these sessions, and what are the conversations like that really lead to enriching the family life?
So it's really important for me to create a space where everybody feels comfortable to share. And I like to start all of my groups with the acknowledgement that none of us are perfect parents and we all face challenges. And I want it to be a room where we can all contribute authentically and honestly and understand that when parents share their experience, it enriches the room and it allows for reflection across the board. So really at the heart of these sessions is grounding ourselves around strong, positive relationships and connections with your kids, which is huge. Like I said, Triple P is highly evidence-based. And we know that when kids feel safe, loved, and supported, they are far more likely to listen and cooperate and thrive. So a lot of my sessions revolve around, that positive relationship piece and what parents can do as a family unit to strengthen those relationships. Another thing that we talk about very often is, the behavior component that parents face, the testing of limits, pushing boundaries, being driven a little crazy from time to time by their children. Triple P or while I am doing these Triple P sessions, I'm giving practical ways to help guide and manage behavior without engaging in those more harsh interventions like yelling or feeling like you're constantly nagging, about setting clear expectations, following through, and giving positive attention, things like that.
It sounds amazing. And I think one of the other ways that we're helping to build on that, this is that those courses are really focused on the experience of being a parent and engaging with the children. But Tiffany Carmichael, I'm going to bring you into the conversation now to talk about the Family Community Connections program and how that's really kind of a nice parallel to some of the work that Megan's doing that's really focused a little differently, and that's on helping connect parents with resources and other resources that can only enhance their parenting skills. So talk to us about this program, which is launching this very month of April, and how that looks in terms of moving forward and how folks can engage in that, even if they might have missed the first session coming right up.
Yeah, thank you for having me and including me with, like Megan said, amazing people on our team. Family Community Connections is, like you said, it's starting in April. It'll be our first session. It's to kind of go with what Megan is saying. It's to add in the ability to meet with people, have conversations about things, connecting to resources, just building that social capital by talking with other parents, feeling less alone when you're parenting, trying to raise children. And just recognizing that there are other people out there that are going through what you may go through, may have ideas to help support any decisions you're trying to make, setting up goals, breaking them down. Meal planning is a big one, and just making sure that people are aware of what's out there for them.
Now, I'm noticing here on the screen, obviously, these Family Community Connection sessions, with the first one, as you said, planned for April 2nd between 6 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. are at ACAP's Presque Isle Customer Service Center, which is right near Walmart in Presque Isle. But it also notes on that, so I think we're encouraging folks from other parts of the county who might not be able to make it, or if transportation is a challenge, that joining remotely is an option. Talk about that so that we ensure that we're being as inclusive as possible with people across this very large geographically speaking county.
Yeah, so as a family coach, a lot of the parents I've worked with and families I've worked with, I've learned that a lot of their goals focus on getting a license, getting a car, and having to miss out on things like this because they can't get to them, not having supports around to do so. So being able to offer a remote version of it makes it easier for people to still be connected and still be included, as you're saying, but not have to put themselves out to spend the money to pay for a taxi and Uber, or try to hope that somebody can give them a ride. And it's a really important way to make everyone not feel so isolated.
That is amazing. Really sounds great. Megan, is that similar opportunity available for parents in the Positive Parenting Program? Can they connect remotely as well?
Yes, absolutely. I make remote learning a mainstay of the program, and so far anyway, for every in-person session, I've been able to offer an online session as well on the same day.
And Amy Murchison, I'm going to go back to you because I know that this was one of the things that you and I have had conversations about and that we struggled with as an agency as we sort of went into the pandemic when everyone went remote, and we were concerned about how we were going to sort of get people re-engaged in things that we've all spoken about that have existed for a longer period of time than these two new programs like the Parent Policy Council and family meetings at centers and the like. But we're really starting to sort of see people embracing both modalities of coming back in person, but also joining when it's more convenient for them remotely. How is that working, and how is that sort of changing things in just the tenure that you have been involved in early care and education with families' ability to engage in what modality that they use?
Yeah, I think this is the positive impact of the pandemic. There's not many, but I think being flexible and offering both in person and a virtual option, so that all of our families, all of our customers across Aroostook counties can receive that service. As Tiffany talked about, sometimes people don't have a vehicle or don't have gas money, but they want to participate. And so being able to offer that hybrid of options allows for us to reach families who may be in Fort Kent or maybe in Southern Aroostook and want to participate in some of the activities we're offering and services, but may not have if there wasn't a virtual option. And certainly, on the other hand, many people want to be in person. They want to engage and build those relationships and get connected again in person. And so being able to offer that again, when for a while we weren't able to, I think has really opened some doors to getting people and families and parents back engaged with some of the programs we offer.
Let's talk about how people can do just that with the programs, the couple of specific programs we're talking about here today. Megan Willett, first of all, talk to me about the Positive Parenting Program and how folks can connect with you and become engaged in these meaningful sessions that you're hosting.
Absolutely. So I can be reached by phone for pre-registration in advance. Registration isn't necessarily needed for the in-person sessions, although they are definitely encouraged because I have materials that are required. But I can be reached at 764-3721. My extension is 116. And I see that my email has also just popped up on the screen too. So that's where I can be reached. And I'm wondering if there's a way that we could include a flyer to this, because I have a QR code as well, if that's helpful, but not necessary.
Yeah, sure. We can certainly make sure that that happens. We're going to post this more out there on our social media presence, and we can have Becca add that to our social media push out of this particular ACAP Today edition. But certainly do encourage folks to reach out. Tiffany Carmichael, how about from you in terms of how people connect with our Family and Community Connections offerings?
So they can reach out to anyone who works at the main office or any coach or any ACAP associate, or they can reach out and email the rsvp@acap-me.org and just let people know if you're going to attend in person or if you're going to do it virtually.
Great, great information, both excellent programs. Amy Murchison, let's say we have households out there that are really, because we run the gamut, right, from even in our early Head Start program, from parents who are just expecting, a mother who's just expecting her first child. How does somebody with a young preschool age child, or I guess now even a school age child, if they're looking at some of the programs that we're offering in school age childcare, how do those folks best connect with us in terms of programs that are offered that support families and children?
Sure. So we have coaches placed across the county at many of our early care and education sites, and that's a great way for families to connect. As Megan and Tiffany both shared, there are direct call, phone numbers, emails, and certainly there's the general info at acap.me.org. People can email that, and certainly it will get to someone who will respond.
Sounds great. All right. Well, what have we not talked about that folks wanted to make sure that they got across as it relates to how ACAP supports families? And in this particular incident, what we're talking about today is families and the children that they're raising. Megan, why don't I start at the top of the screen with you?
I'm feeling pretty well covered about Triple P in general.
That's awesome. Well, good. Amy, what else? Anything else that we have left sort of on the cutting room floor that we want to make sure gets out there?
I think it's really important to say that a lot of hard work has gone into working towards being able to offer these programs and services here at ACAP. It's something we've identified that we wanted to work on. And so to see it come to fruition and be available to support our community for this need and to build and connect families and relationships is very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely, Amy. I know that you and others at the agency here, including our two other guests on the screen, have worked diligently to be able to expand these programs. And it's also gratifying to see some very positive reinforcement and numbers participating in courses that Megan has held. And as we look forward to Tiffany and your team hosting the next level of community engagement or family engagement opportunities. What else have we not talked about, Tiffany, that you wanted to make sure got across?
I mean, I just would like to connect to Megan's Triple P is that there is a family that I work with, and they did attend the first 3 sessions of Megan's Triple P, and they did nothing but sing her praises. And they were utilizing the techniques and found that they were really helpful and they really worked with their lifestyle. So just in case you need some evidence that how great it is.
Yeah, and I would also say we don't, get to talk about this all together too often, but the support amongst the team members at the agency for these programs. So for Tiffany to say that about, Megan's program, and I know that we're going to hear very similar about the program that you and our coaching manager, Nick Weeks, and others, coaches across Aroostook County, are going to be leading for us as it relates to our family community connections. Also, we're going to support each other as an agency. And as you said, Tiffany, there's really no wrong door approach on how you can connect with these programs. So whether it's positive parenting program, our whole family coaching, early care and education programs, or the community connections program that Tiffany has been speaking about specifically, contact any of our ACAP locations and folks can help direct you and connect you in the right way. All right. Well, I really want to thank the 3 of you for not only joining me on this month's edition of ACAP Today, but for the work that you have done to lead tremendous programs that are making a difference in how children are being raised here in Aroostook County and how families are growing together and connecting with resources, connecting with their communities, and really finding stability in a world that at times seems very challenging, especially for the most vulnerable among us. So really impressive and important work that you're doing, and I can't thank you enough for doing it. Well, one of the ways that the work that Megan, Amy, and Tiffany are doing directly here in our communities connects with our photo of the week is this. Our photo of the week actually takes us this time around to Washington, D.C., where I had the opportunity to talk about the great things that our colleagues here in Aroostook County are doing, as well as are happening in community action across the state of Maine. Our delegation from Maine Community Action Partnership met recently in Washington, D.C. to help educate our representatives in Congress. That's U.S. Senator Susan Collins, Senator Angus King, and Congresswoman Shelley Pingree, and Congressman Jared Golden, and their staff members about the work and the importance of the work of community action across the state of Maine, including the wonderful things that are happening to work with families here in Aroostook County, parents and children, as we have talked about in this broadcast. So our highlight snapshot takes us to Washington, D.C., to the U.S. Capitol, where community action was the conversation with Maine's congressional delegation. That's our snapshot of the week. That's our program for the month of April 2025. I'm Jason Parent. We'll be back next month in May when we talk about the new homeless student initiative, or the housing instability or insecurity initiative. That's a partnership between Aroostook County Action Program and public schools across Aroostook County. We'll have some great guests from the public schools and from here at ACAP to talk about that partnership next month. Until then, I hope you have a great rest of the month of April and enjoy spring, folks. Thank you.